The Steadicam is a camera stabilizer mount for motion picture cameras that mechanically isolates it from the operator's movement. It allows for a smooth shot even when moving quickly over an uneven surface. The Steadicam was invented by cameraman and inventor Garrett Brown and was introduced in 1975. Basically, a Steadicam combines the stabilized steady footage of a normal tripod mount with the fluid motion of a dolly or track, and the flexibility of handheld camera work. While smoothly following the operator's movements, the Steadicam's arm absorbs any jerks, bumps, or shakes. Before the creation of the Steadicam, there were not many options for filming a shot that needed handheld camera work. Your options were limited to the camera being mounted on a camera dolly, which is a wheeled mount that rolls on tracks or boards. This is time-consuming to set up and impractical in many situations. Secondly, the camera operator could hold the camera in his or her hands. This allows greater speed and flexibility, but even the most skilled camera operators cannot entirely prevent the camera from being shaky. Lastly, you can just choose to have a shaky or horrible looking camera shot. The way that the Steadicam is used is quite simple. The operator wears a harness, or also called the Steadicam vest, which is attached to an iso-elastic arm. This is attached by a multi-axis and ultra-low friction gimbal to the Steadicam armature, which has the camera mounted at one end and a counterbalance weight at the other. The counterbalance can include the battery pack and even a monitor. The monitor can substitute for the camera's viewfinder. This is how the Steadicam stays upright, by simply making the bottom heavier than the top. This leaves the center of gravity of the whole rig, regardless of how heavy or light it is, exactly at the operator's fingertip, which allows total control of the entire system. There are many different kinds of Steadicams. The smallest and lightest weight Steadicam, which can be used with just a support arm and a vest, is called the Steadicam Merlin. The Merlin is light enough to be handheld with cameras weighing up to about 5.5 pounds, and it may carry cameras up to about 7 pounds when used with the arm. Filmmakers who shoot with HDSLR cameras prefer to use the Merlin. The newest version of the Steadicam is called the Tango. This is the most modern body-only supported camera stabilization system yet. Its horizontal mechanism makes it possible to move the camera freely while it stays horizontal. A Steadicam operator can change from the low mode to the high mode without any changes or alterations. The dimensions are not limited only to ups and downs, but also in depth and over or through obstacles. Additionally to the large number of professional-grade Steadicams that cost almost as much as a year of tuition at Carson Newman, Brown's creation has inspired other filmmakers to create do-it-yourself Steadicams that enhance their production quality greatly. There are hundreds of versions of the homemade Steadicam. The Steadicam made its debut in Woody Guthrie's Best Picture-nominated film Bound for Glory in 1976, just a year after being created. Cinematographer Haskell Wexler had Brown start the shot on a fully elevated platform crane which jibbed downwards, and when it reached the ground, Brown stepped off and walked the camera through the set, following the subject. The Steadicam took an even greater leap forward when it was used in the film The Shining in 1980. The director requested that the camera shoot from just barely above the floor in order to follow the subject. This prompted the innovation and creation of a low mode bracket to mount the top of a camera to something just barely above the floor. This greatly increased the creative angles of the entire system that previously could not go much lower than the operator's waist height. The low mode concept still remains one of the most important extensions to the system since its inception and creation in 1975. And many might think that the speeder bike chase scene from the 1983 film Return of the Jedi was all CGI. However, a Steadicam rig was also used during the creation of this scene. Brown, the creator of the Steadicam, walked through a redwood forest with the camera running at a speed of just 1 frame per second. The end result, when it was projected at 24 frames per second, gave the impression and view of flying through the air at crazy, perilous speeds. The longest single Steadicam shot known today is 2 minutes and 10 seconds long from the 1987 film The Untouchables. As stated in an article written by SteadyVision, the Steadicam brings new possibilities to film and documentary making, and not just for master shots, it cuts well too. The percentage of usable footage is increased and more choice offered to the editor. When shifting camera positions, the Steadicam glides from one composition to the next. A static shot becomes a tracking shot, becomes a static shot again. Pan, boom, tilt, track, and zoom interact in a seamless storytelling continuum. An article from Cinematography How To shares the following thoughts. A Steadicam can mean the difference between a professional and steady wide shot of Victorian-era London or a wobbly, user-generated, content-esque portrayal of some old lamps and streets. Having control over how your camera moves is so vital to good film production. While the Steadicam is already over 30 years old, there are many more advancements that can happen with the invention. However, the development and use of the Steadicam up to today has drastically improved the production value of cinema. The Steadicam has helped film engage viewers better than almost any other late technological advance within the film industry. Instead of feeling that a camera is set up and we are just watching a stage play, the Steadicam has broken that invisible wall of separation between the scene and the viewer, more so than the dolly or other inventions like it could. Because of the Steadicam and the beautiful images it allows filmmakers to create, the standard of high production value films has increased greatly. If your movie doesn't have a fantastic tracking shot that makes you feel as if you're walking right in front of, beside, or behind the subject, then you're not doing it right. And director of The Shining, Stanley Kubrick, says it best: Steadicam revolutionizes the way films are shot.